how did I move from investment banking to starting a drone company? Why are we still exposing human beings to these kind of work environments? I took that leap of faith on 18th of Feb 2020. Just 1 month later, the world went into a series of lockdowns. Hey, it doesn't go as per your plan, right?
The founder story of a company is always riveting. It tells the tale of how an idea was nurtured and how a brand was built. It is then, I guess, the OG origin story. And to take us through one such tale today, we have with us Ms. Niharika Kolte Alekar. As the founder of Volar Alta, Niharika has propelled the company to the forefront of drone-based inspections in industries like cement, steel, and energy. With her astute business development skills and strategic collaborations, Volar Alta has carved a niche in the NDT domain for both confined spaces and external inspections. She is also now a prolific speaker across many events and an enthusiastic supporter and the one encouraging women in leadership. Demonstrating remarkable growth over the years, Volar Alta has achieved 100% year-on-year growth rate and expanded its client base. Well, that's why she's here. She's going to tell us her founder story. A big round of applause. Please come up, Ms. Niharika. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me to share my story of how I built Volar Alta. After listening to Raman sir and the long legacy that Maruti Suzuki has in India, it's a reminder for me that I have just begun. I am a 5-year-old entrepreneur, and it's been a rewarding journey so far since starting up. I used to be an investment banker. I've studied finance, and I've worked with companies like PwC and KPMG for over 6.5 years. What I was doing then was mergers and acquisitions, and the sector that I was working in was largely energy, infra, and utilities. So how did I move from investment banking to starting a drone company? The idea came in during the due diligence phase of one of our renewable energy deals that was happening. And I realized that at that point of time, due diligence was being done in a manual fashion, which meant that there were human beings being exposed to hazardous work environments only to find out whether or not the asset is in healthy condition or not. So when the entire world is talking about Industry 4.0, you have multiple robotic solutions available in the market. Why are we still exposing human beings to these kind of work environments? And that curiosity got me to doing some market research, and I landed upon drones as a technology. So then, of course, as an investment banker, the one thing you are really good at is doing market research. So I knew in my gut since class 8 that I wanted to be an entrepreneur someday. And this just happened to kind of be the moment where that kind of journey started for me. So I did a thorough market research to figure out whether it's big enough for me to quit my job and actually start something in which, by the way, I don't have any tech background, I don't have a business background, so I would be the first one to kind of start a business in my family, etc. But I knew that I wanted to build something that has an opportunity for me to create an impact on people, planet, and then of course do it profitably. So drones as a sector definitely seem to be like a sunrise sector for me. And of course, all of us know the fact that drones are now being deployed across multiple sectors, from agri, from real estate, mobility, as well as inspections. So looking at the market size, I said, okay, let's take this leap of faith and let's start up. So of course, when there were so many industries available for me to pick, I picked process industries as the niche, and I decided that, okay, it's going to be inspections which we want to disrupt. And therefore, I did a little bit more research to figure out how drones can be utilized as a tool that can fly, and then how you can mount multiple types of sensors on it to capture certain data points. So that's how Volar Alta was born. I took that leap of faith on 18th of Feb 2020. The reason why I'm actually spelling out the date is because just 1 month later, the world went into a series of lockdowns. So here I am voluntarily having quit my investment banking job and with a dream to kind of start something of my own. And then the very first lesson that entrepreneurship had to teach me was that, hey, it doesn't go as per your plan, right? So of course, 23rd March 2020 was when the first lockdown was announced by the government, and I was literally devastated. I didn't know what to do, and I had two options. Either I could sit, cry, maybe go back to my job, or give myself a shot, take a bet on myself, and see what kind of comes up with it, right? So I decided to like it was literally one night where I decided, okay, there are a lot of wedding videographers who are going to be out of a job now for the next few months. Why don't I get them together? Those guys have drones, and why don't I start helping the local police forces to do surveillance activities in containment zones? So that is how what was supposed to be an inspection company, I had to pivot on day one itself and start helping the local police forces to do the surveillance activities. But what an impactful way to start, right? So what was supposed to be a setback, actually, I think in the hindsight became a setup for me. The slack period that we had, we utilized to kind of tell our potential customers about the new technology that we want to bring in, how we're going to help them completely digitize the way inspections are done, etc. And then slowly and steadily, we started getting POCs, we started converting into commercial contracts, and then that's how the startup kind of continued. So I realized that resilience, adaptability, and agility are three non-negotiable ingredients to not just survive, but also grow and thrive, in the whole startup ecosystem. So the turning point was here. We started doing inspections in the renewable energy space, which were external inspections. And at that point of time, India did not really have rules and regulations which were finalized, right? So the beauty with rules and regulations is that it can work either ways, and I have had an experience with both, which I'll quickly talk about. So we started with renewable energy inspections. We had the first mover advantage. Meanwhile, India came out with its set of rules and regulations. The first one came as a death blow to the entire industry, but then there were amendments that were made, and then suddenly there were hundreds of drone startups in the country. So now a premium service that you're offering to your customers to digitize inspections suddenly became commoditized. So what level of commoditization happened, right? There was one tender which I remember where we used to charge about 5,000 rupees a megawatt. That price came down to 398 rupees, and that's a moment that I will never forget in my life. You know, the way that the auction happened, and I was left wondering, okay, is this rate even sustainable for me? I started thinking about unit economics because, again, the investment banking background kind of helped to understand whether or not this is going to be sustainable for me, etc. And then one more time, I had to take the hard call of stepping out of this particular market because I knew it's not going to be sustainable. I continue to be a bootstrap startup, and I don't have excess financial backing, which can help me to deliver these kind of quote-unquote loss-making projects, right? So I decided to step out, and another phase of market research began for me. So this is what happened when the regulations kind of opened up. On the other side, we were one of the first companies to have done this project with the British High Commission during the COVID times, where we utilized drones to demonstrate how medicines can be delivered, and we were the first ones to basically showcase multiple deliveries in a single flight. So that was a pilot project that we conducted, and unfortunately, even if the product was right, the timing was wrong. And the rules and regulations were such that it did not support commercial scale-up. This was in 2021. So, of course, now we're a little ahead when it comes to BV laws, regulations, etc. And I'm sure that the market is maturing. But I have gone through both the sides of how regulations can define the future of your business. So again, coming back to market research, okay, now that I have decided to step out of external inspections, where do I look for the blue ocean? So then I said, okay, the process industries also have another space, which is the confined space. Now, what are confined spaces? We are talking about when manufacturing plants are being set up, you have equipments like chimneys, tanks, boilers, etc., which need to be inspected every year, and for which you have to send human beings into these hazardous work environments. They have to manually climb up 110-meter tall assets and manually see, what is the issue with that. Now, of course, it's A, very risky. B, even if you take that risk, you are still not able to get the right kind of insights. And C, of course, it's a costly affair. It takes time. And when manufacturing plants shut down, every day of their shutdown is costing them millions of dollars. So I felt, okay, this is again going to be a great market. And we didn't see many people operating in that space. So we went ahead and we started offering confined spaces inspections as our offerings. And then that is when I realized the power of niche. When we were able to create massive value for our customers, we started seeing rapid adoption. So I didn't have to spend a single rupee or a single dollar on any kind of marketing. The entire customer set that we've built is largely based on our performance and largely based on customer referrals. So that's how we decided that, okay, we're going to operate in confined spaces. We built our niche in this segment. And this was just a video for you to see how it is actually done, where the drone goes inside, it has its own light, and we're able to inspect large assets in minuscule amount of time. So traditionally, if a 110-meter tall chimney would take about 17 and a half days for you to complete this inspection, with drones and with, of course, processing, analytics, etc., the entire thing gets done in less than 70 minutes. So it's a massive, massive ROI, and I knew that this is it. I found the niche, and this is how we're going to kind of proceed. So with that, of course, having found a niche and having spent over 3 years just perfecting the inspections in confined spaces and other types of non-destructive tests is not enough. Because at the end of the day, what a drone is a tool to capture these data points. The real insight is actually delivered when you process and analyze the data and give your customers actionable insights as to what next. So we've been collecting data points over the last 5 years, and then we realized last year that, okay, now it's time to kind of collate all of that and build our own proprietary platform, which is the software platform, which is now leveraging AI and trying to kind of automatically detect issues. Of course, everyone's leveraging AI these days, but I would definitely it's a humble submission that whatever platforms we've built, there is always going to be a human in the loop, because it's going to take a while for us to build that level of intuition which a plant officer kind of builds over 20, 30 years of being in the plant. So we're working very hard to kind of ensure that we're able to get contextualization, we're able to do multimodal data ingestion, we're able to actually personalize it or customize it to that particular plant, etc. So we built our own platform, and now we're looking at scaling this up. In terms of our hustle, being bootstrapped, it's extremely, extremely difficult to grow a business, but we've done it so far. And I feel that now is the time for us to probably look at raising funds. So while we've not yet decided, but I think we will look at that as an option in order to now scale up. A good news to share with all of you is that we recently got selected by the India AI mission, and we were sent to Europe for a 4-month-long incubation program at HEC, so which has now opened doors for us to also explore the European markets. Apart from that, we're working with the who's who in the industry at this point of time in cement and energy, chemicals, etc. Talking about the personal side of the entrepreneurial journey, for me, I think it has always been the case that I'm not too fond of being comfortable where I am. So I'm always looking at some sort of challenges in life. I sometimes wonder why, but I think it's about what kind of an experience do I want to have in life. And I feel now that I've been an entrepreneur for about 5 years, I now feel that I think it's the best decision that I have taken in my life, because nothing can teach you more than running a startup. So I think for me, it started from just being able to have these new experiences, and then it took some time for me to also realize that true value will be derived for your own personal development only if you reflect on those, and only if you try to kind of inculcate that into your day-to-day life. And then that's how I feel that I will evolve into a better business person over the next few years. So, I mean, we've been lucky. We've worked very hard to win a few corporate challenges. The latest one was with Maruti Suzuki, in fact, where we demonstrated the use of drones to transport the spare parts from their mother warehouse to the child warehouse, etc., to improve the customer delight. We were also the winners of other corporate programs like Vedanta, etc. But whatever you see on the screen, these are all the happy moments. But to kind of enjoy these happy moments, there are multiple days where you just feel like, okay, you're doubting yourself. You're crying your eyes out because your partnerships fell through, or the first time the employee resigns, having doubts about the plans that you have, etc. But I guess at the end, it's all worth the grind, because I think only when you go through these kind of challenging situations can you really enjoy the happy moments that come along once in a while. Of course, like any other founder, the most important pillars are your team, your advisors, and your family. Team, because they believed in the vision even before we had the traction. Uh, the team is the one that helps you to actually bring your vision to reality. Advisors, because you need somebody to kind of pull your ears and bring you back on track whenever you see that there are so many temptations around. Okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, but it is your advisors who will always be your supporters. They will always be your sounding board. They will have your back, and of course, once in a while, also you require that they bring you back on track. And finally, family. I think family is the most important support system that one could have, and I think that they are the biggest investors, investors in your dream, investors in the drama that you bring along every day at home, being an entrepreneur, and dealing with your day-to-day mood swings, if I can say that. So without that, I think it's very difficult for an entrepreneur to actually put all of this together and propel along the way. So I think I would like to just end uh, end this talk by sharing one of my favorite quotes, which is, "Everything you want is on the other side of fear." And I think I have been living that uh, on a day-to-day basis. And definitely, I think any entrepreneur uh, is facing certain situations on a daily basis where there is fear at the back of your mind. But I think after showing up for 5 years on a consistent basis, you just kind of learn to fly with the fear, and let fear guide you to achieve better things in life. So with that, I would like to again thank you so much for inviting me to share my story, and thank you to everyone who's lent me a patient ear. Thank you so much.